Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. Today, we're going to talk about migrating enterprise grade workloads to Cloud SQL for SQL Server. My name is Mohammed Kabiruddin. I'm a senior product manager in Google Cloud. I work on Cloud SQL for SQL Server.
And I'm Erez Al Sheikh, Senior Product Manager for Google Database Migration Service.
All right, we have a packed agenda today. We're going to talk about Cloud SQL for SQL Server, the features and capabilities. I'm also going to show you a demo of Cloud SQL Studio, which is a new offering with assisted AI capabilities. And then Erez will join us to talk about migrating to Cloud SQL for SQL Server, and he'll also show a demo on Database Migration Service. So let's get started. We have an announcement that we recently made. We now support SQL Server migrations to Cloud SQL for SQL Server using Database Migration Service. And Erez will come and talk about the whole migration experience. Before we get started on that, let's talk a little bit about what Cloud SQL for SQL Server is. Before we dive into Cloud SQL for SQL Server and its capabilities, I want to take a minute to talk about Cloud SQL as a service. Cloud SQL is a fully managed relational database service that supports PostgreSQL, MySQL, and SQL Server. It is fully compatible with these source database engines. Cloud SQL is a fully managed service and is enterprise grade ready. It's easy to operate, set up, and scale. It is trusted by many of our enterprises with data protection and enterprise grade capabilities with security and governance. It is also very developer friendly. We offer a lot of application centric observability and APIs to make application development and operations easier. Over 95% of Google Cloud's top 100 customers use Cloud SQL. Why should you use Cloud SQL for SQL Server? It is easy to manage. We have flexible machine configuration, simple provisioning experience, and easy to operate database instances. It is feature rich. It has comprehensive set of SQL Server features that you know and love, with Google Cloud capabilities to amp up your applications. It has robust data protection and reliability with flexible options to back up and retain your databases while allowing you to architect for high availability and disaster recovery. It is secured from the ground up with data encryption at rest and in transit, and it has managed authentication and industry compliance with security standards. Now, let's talk about how you manage databases with Cloud SQL for SQL Server. We offer flexible machine configuration that offers multiple machine sizes for you to choose from, including custom vCPU and RAM sizes. We allow you to disable multi-threading so that you can save on SQL Server licensing costs. In terms of management tools, we offer multiple choices. From Google Cloud perspective, you have the Cloud Console UI and Cloud SQL Studio, which is a brand new capability that we've injected with Gemini AI capabilities for you to manage and query your databases. You can also use gcloud CLI and Terraform along with REST API to operate and manage databases on Cloud SQL for SQL Server. Now, you can also continue using your existing tool set with SQL Server Management Studio and Azure Data Studio that are also popular with SQL Server customers. In terms of operations and maintenance, we offer a very flexible maintenance pack with advanced email notifications that are sent to you ahead of time before your maintenance kicks off. You can reschedule these maintenance windows, and you can also deny your maintenance for a period of 90 days, which we understand is very important for your seasonal workloads when you have business peak operations and you have peak times. We also offer an option for you to self manage your maintenance. So, self service maintenance allows you to apply those patches at your own schedule. In terms of feature sets and compatibility with SQL Server, as you can see on the slide, we have a whole bunch of capabilities and features that are native to SQL Server. You can import and export backpack files. You can import and export backups, change data capture. We have SQL Server agent job support. You can use link servers with an external source. We have integrations with cloud logging and monitoring. We even have integrations with Gen AI capabilities like LangChain. Erez will talk about database migration service and how you can migrate databases to Cloud SQL. Apart from that, you also have transactional replication, BCP utilities, importing transaction log backups, and a whole wide range of capabilities. In terms of BI capabilities, we will also support SQL Server reporting services, which is a very popular tool for reporting capabilities. Cloud SQL for SQL Server also has enterprise grade high availability and disaster recovery with built in data protection with both automated and on demand backups, point in time recovery for 7 days. We also provide a HA instance as a standby replica, which we can fails over in case of your primary being down. And you don't pay for any SQL Server licensing for this instance because it's a standby replica. It is available for all editions of SQL Server, including standard and enterprise editions. With disaster recovery, we support up to 8 readable replicas, both in region in a separate zone or cross region that you can fail over to in times of a regional disaster. And finally, as I mentioned earlier, it is secured from the ground up. We offer multiple authentication mechanisms for both SQL Server logins and Windows logins using managed Microsoft AD. We support encryption at rest and allow you to bring your own encryption keys. And we also allow encryption in transit. Now, connectivity to the instance is supported with both public and private IP, and we support multiple networking topologies. And the most popular one in the recent launches is Private Service Connect that allows you to secure your access to Cloud SQL instances without having to allocate a wide range of IP addresses. We also integrate with Security Command Center for security recommendations based on industry standards like NIST, ISO, PCI DSS, and so on. So we recently announced preview for Gemini in databases that provides assisted AI capabilities to manage your databases and for your data management journey. For SQL Server specifically, we have two options. The first one is code assistance using Database Studio or Cloud SQL Studio, which provides assisted development environment for you to apply natural language to SQL generation and also manage your databases. And in terms of fleet management, we have assisted AI capabilities to monitor your fleet and look at alerts and recommenders across a fleet of databases, not just for SQL Server, but also other database engines using Database Center. Now, here's a snippet of Database Center where you can see on the left-hand side, you can look at a bunch of your SQL servers across your fleet and group them together for similar groups and workloads. On the right-hand side, you can look at recommendations and alerts for the fleet of SQL servers that you operate. These recommendations and alerts apply for configuration type issues, data protection issues, security, and industry compliance issues. And this allows you to go and act on those issues, immediately resolve them. Okay, so I'm going to show you a cool new demo of using Cloud SQL Studio and its assisted AI capabilities. Let's imagine you have a company called Symbol Clothing that sells t-shirts, jerseys, and clothing apparel. And you're a marketing analyst that wants to analyze some data to make some marketing decisions. Now let's see how you do that. This is my Cloud SQL for SQL Server instance. You will now notice a new option that says Cloud SQL Studio. So once I go in there, I'm going to choose my database, which is Symbol Clothing Database. I'm going to log in with my SQL login, provide a password. So once I authenticate and get into my Cloud SQL Studio, you'll see this brand new experience. On the left-hand side, we allow you to manage your database schemas and tables. As a marketing guy, I want to look at my sales data. So if you expand the sales LT schema, you can look at tables, views. Now all the tables are listed and each of the tables will have their own keys, constraints, indexes. You can look at those. You can create tables. You can query these tables and you can do some basic operations. Now, the cool new Gemini capabilities that we've added to Cloud SQL Studio allow you to use natural language prompts to generate queries. Let's see how you do that. As a marketing guy, I don't have enough knowledge on writing T-SQL commands. So I need some help with Gemini to write me some queries. So I open the editor tab, and here you'll notice the new Help Me Code option. Let's ask, write a query to list all the jerseys we sell. When I hit generate, it's going to generate me a query. I insert that in this editor and I run that query to get a list of all the jerseys that we sell. Oh, it looks like we've added some new options to our catalog. Now, I'm very interested in a region called Cambridge where we think we can do some marketing campaigns. And I want to look at when was the last order that was shipped to Cambridge. So let me clear this, write a new prompt, find the latest order along with the order date that was shipped to Cambridge. And when I hit generate, it's going to write me a query. Once I insert that and hit run, I can see there was an order that was shipped to Cambridge in 2008. Clearly, we haven't done any sales for the last few years. and I'd ask my marketing team to go and run some campaigns in Cambridge. So as you saw, this natural language prompts to SQL generation is a cool new capability that we've added to Cloud SQL Studio that will help your querying experience much more seamless.
Wow, Muhammad, that's amazing. As a former DBA, I can imagine you guys are thinking, how can I get on Cloud SQL ASAP? Full functionality, fully managed, Google Magic on top of it, can go wrong. So database migration service is exactly the tool you need to get on Cloud SQL to migrate your existing workloads into Cloud SQL for SQL Server. But some of you may be thinking, migration isn't that easy, right? There are some challenges that we might face. So production downtime is one that we commonly hear from customers. Data fidelity is another one, and the third one is, do I have the expertise in-house to do the migration? These are not common day-to-day DBA tasks. Migrations are a bit more complex, require special expertise. And that's exactly where database migration service comes in. Database migration service is a simple, secure service which is fully managed. It's auto-scaling, and it's a UI-based experience that takes you through the migration experience without any prior knowledge or expertise. And on top of that, it features low downtime migration for multiple databases into Cloud SQL. For years now, we've been supporting MySQL and Postgres migrations into Cloud SQL, specifically to Cloud SQL and AlloyDB. Those are serverless, just like any other migration type in the database migration service. They leverage native technologies to keep it full fidelity and low downtime, and a lot of our customers have been using them effectively to date. And as we said, we have recently announced the addition of SQL Server homogeneous migrations to Cloud SQL, and these are the ones we're going to focus on today. So just like any other migration path in DMS, Database Migration Service, SQL Server migrations are also serverless, secure. They use native technologies. In this case, it's backup restore technologies, which we'll cover in a second, to offer full fidelity, low downtime, easy to use migrations. Now, there are different ways to get to migrate your database into Cloud SQL. So as Muhammad said, Cloud SQL also supports transactional replication. There's, of course, the backup restore route, and, of course, the built-in CDC mechanism that SQL Server offers. Each one of those will get you into Cloud SQL in a low downtime, feasible migration. But each one of those also have challenges. So built-in CDC, for example, has a non-negligible overhead on the source. Transactional replication is a bit more difficult to set up. And backup restore, well, we'll cover that in the next few slides. So DMS has chosen to leverage native continuous backup and restore technologies for the migration purposes. When we say continuous, that means we use full backups as well as transaction log backups to offer not just a one-time migration, but a continuous ongoing migration. Backup and restore is a very, very deep native technology in SQL Server, performed daily. And that's why it also offers full fidelity. I mean, when you do a backup restore, of course, you expect SQL Server to get everything into the destination database. And that's exactly what you can expect from migrations leveraging backup and restore. On top of that, due to the use of transaction log backups as well, we offer low downtime migrations and not just a one-time migration. And again, no special expertise required, as these are just backup restores, which you do very, very often. So on top of that, there's literally no additional impact on the source because backup and restore is an operation that you do anyway. Backup and restore offer very high throughput compared to other migration technologies like CDC and transactional replication. And maybe the most important thing, no connectivity challenges. So you'll be uploading your backup files into cloud storage, as you will see in a second. And from that point, it's all Google. Your source files will be in Google, the destinations in Google, which makes connectivity a non-issue. Coupled with the easy-to-use UI-based guided experience that DMS offers, comprehensive monitoring and logging, and the security you can expect from Google, this is a very, very, very effective way to migrate your database in a secure, continuous, low downtime way. This is an outline of how the migration process looks like. You upload your backup files to cloud storage. DMS waits for those backups, detects those backups, and imports them into Cloud SQL. first the full backup and then continuously the transactional backups. On your end, you monitor the migration, and when ready, you promote it. And DMS finalizes the migration and makes the database available for read-write usage. All right, let's see all that in action now. Okay, so I'm looking to migrate a database called DemoDB to Cloud SQL for SQL Server. So I've went ahead and uploaded the backups for that database into cloud storage. So as you can see, we have a bucket here in which I created a few directories for multiple databases that I plan to migrate. Today, we're going to migrate the DemoDB database. So under the DemoDB folder, I've created a folder called full for the full backup and log for the transaction logs. If we go in, you can see the actual backup here and a bunch of transaction logs waiting in the log folder. Of course, you can keep uploading more and more transaction logs. You don't need to have everything in place before starting. In this case, we do. So once we have the files here and we have a Cloud SQL instance ready, it's an empty instance ready to receive the new database. So now we're going to head to DMS, Database Migration Service, and start creating our migration. So to start with, we're going to create a bunch of connection profiles, one for the source and one for the destination. So we'll start with the source connection profile that provides connectivity to the source. In this case, it's the actual cloud storage bucket. So I'm going to choose SQL Server. Let's call it SQL Server source. And I'm going to choose the bucket and select it. Now I'm going to test the connection settings. DMS will run some connectivity tests, and once everything is fine, we can proceed. All right, in a similar way, we're going to create a connection profile to the destination. So now I will choose Cloud SQL for SQL Server as the destination, and we'll call it SQL Server destination. All I have to choose is the instance ID of the SQL Server. Google knows how to connect to that instance and import the data. No user password, nothing, just the instance ID. So it's super easy to connect. So we provided a bucket name and an instance ID. That's it. These are basically all the settings we need to connect to both your source and destination. So now that we have both connection profiles set up, we can go ahead and create a migration job. Migration job will migrate the data from the source to the destination. All right, so let's give it a name, SQL Server Migration. And now, again, we're going to choose which database we want to migrate. As you can see, Database Migration Service supports a lot of different databases. We'll choose SQL Server. Here we have a bunch of prerequisites that are important to read, just like the folder structure that we've seen before and a few more, so very important to read those. Once we're familiarized with those, we can move on. And as you can expect, now we need to provide the source and destination connection profiles, which we just created. So I'll select SQL Server source and the SQL Server destinations. And as you can see, DMS offers me only the ones which are relevant for the source and destination side. And we can go on. There's just a couple more steps. Now we need to choose which database we want to migrate. The list is populated from the folder list in the cloud storage bucket that we've seen before. So I'm going to choose DemoDB, which is the database we want to migrate, and save the migration job. And the final step is creating and starting the migration job. So all we had to do is upload files, very easily create a source connection profile, destination connection profile, create a migration job which chooses those, choose our database, and we're good to go. That's it. That's the whole migration process. Now that the job is running, we can go into the migration job page and start monitoring the migration. The first thing we're going to notice is that the migration is in running state and in initial load in progress phase. That means that DMS is now performing the import of the full backup. It starts with the full backup, of course, followed by transactional backups. So now we're doing the full backup load. We can actually go to the Cloud SQL console, to the Operations tab, and we'll see the operations that are performed. In a second, DMS will start importing the backup file, and we can monitor the progress of that. As you can see, this message says importing this full backup into Cloud SQL right now. So this means that DMS is right now importing the data. This is the Cloud SQL instance reflecting DMS activities. Going back to the migration page, we'll see that the migration just switched to incremental load in progress. That means that the initial load finished, and we are now processing transaction logs in the right order. So DMS knows which transaction log to import by the timestamps and will load them in the right order. So now we can monitor the progress of the migration. It will keep uploading transaction logs until it's time to promote. There could be two scenarios here. Either you just keep uploading transaction logs, and whenever ready, you stop writing on your all writes on your source database, wait for the last transaction log to be uploaded, wait for it to be imported, and simply let DMS promote the migration to finalize it. And there's an additional mechanism which we are using in this specific migration, which is a specific naming convention for the last file you upload, letting DMS know that it's the actual last file, and then DMS will propose promoting. It will actually go into a ready to promote phase, which you'll see in a few seconds when it processes the last transaction log. All right, so now the migration changed to ready to promote. That means that the last transaction log backup has been restored, and the database is ready to be promoted, and and is identical to the source. It was imported or restored to the same exact position as the source. So now we can quickly click promote and promote the migration, which actually makes the database, the new database, available for read-write operations. So now we're in promotion in progress. This usually takes a few seconds or up to like 1 minute, and the database will be fully promoted. And that's it. Our migration is now complete. The database is promoted, the migration is finalized, and we can start using our Cloud SQL or SQL Server database. One more thing to notice is the monitoring metrics that DMS offers in the table here. So the restore lag measures the time since the backup was taken until it is restored to Cloud SQL. In our case here, it's about 50 or 48 minutes, which is when I took the backups. In your case, it will most likely be a few minutes or even seconds at some point if you keep continuously uploading backups. And the unprocessed transaction log backup files is kind of a lag. It shows how many transaction logs are uploaded but not yet processed. Now that the migration is complete, of course, this value is 0. We can also see these metrics over time in the monitoring tab in a graph view. And in longer running migrations, you can see the trend, you can see the speed, you can see where you're standing in terms of the migration progress. So that concludes our migration demo, and our database is now ready to be used.
Wow, thanks for that, Erez. That was such a cool demo. I mean, I've done a lot of database migrations, and you just made it look so seamless with that whole experience of automating the backups. My favorite was that dot final renaming convention, which allows you to completely cut over. How did you guys think about that?
Actually, that's a nice feature proposed by one of the engineers. Yeah, I think it's a cool feature as well. I think it helps the full manageability story.
Yeah, I'm sure this experience is going to be great for our customers to get to Cloud SQL for SQL Server.
Yeah, we already see customers migrating pretty big databases, so hopefully your databases are next.
And with that, we want you to continue your learning journey. You can learn more about Cloud SQL for SQL Server using these links.
And in these links, we can learn a bit more about your migration and database migration service. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you, everybody.